Today is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, and my name is Jeanette Pincus, and I had the opportunity of getting to work with Joni Cohan, a key staff person at Jewish Family Service, at a very special program that was part of the agency at the time. So thank you so much, Joni, for sharing what you got to do with this program and how it developed. So I would like to start with how you got involved with this guardianship program, if that was the official title of it. How did it start?
Right. I think to start with the guardianship program at the very beginning, you have to go straight to Carmen Michael. This was really her idea, her baby. Um, she was the thought and the future looking behind it. And Carmen wanted to have something available in the Dallas Jewish community. And we ended up not having, the clients did not have to be Jewish, but for people who could no longer make decisions for themselves, whether it was about their own well-being or their financial decisions, so there were two different parts, that there should be a guardianship program. Usually guardianship is taken over by a very, very close friend or a family member, and in some cases by banks. But Carmen felt we should really help those who needed it most. And it's a very legal program because the courts have to declare that the person is incapacitated and couldn't make his or her own decisions. So I had heard about it originally from Carmen, who's a family member of my husband, Bob. And then she took it to National Council of Jewish Women. And I was very involved with NCJW. NCJW did research, and then we needed a source that could actually provide the program, and that was Jewish Family Service. So the ideas went to Jewish Family Service, and I'm quite sure that Mark Werdner was on the board, and he led a group trying to figure out how to make a guardianship program work through JFS.
Mark Warbner is an attorney.
Yes,
Okay. And what years do you feel this was around? Well,
it was in the early 1990s. I went to work at Jewish Family Service to be the coordinator of the guardianship program in January of 1994. And I started work just, I think, a couple of weeks after Michael Fleischer started at JFS. So we were both newbies, and he was the new head of the organization.
when you first started there, did you already have individuals that you knew you were going to be working with?
We were, the guardianship program was part of the gerontology department, and there were clients of the gerontologists. And Bunny Radman was at that time the head of gerontology. And there were clients that needed to have a guardian. And so we did have clients already. And then the word got out, and that JFS was going to provide the service. It was a very difficult program financially because you're talking about people at the most risk. They very often had mental problems. They were financially in terrible shape. When a person had money, it seemed that family members or banks would come around to to do the guardianship because you get paid for the guardianship through the probate court. But when people have no money and mental illness, it's a very different situation.
So, so if I'm getting what the procedure would be, one of our people in the gerontology department would flag someone, recognize that this person didn't have anyone to watch out for them, needed someone, was given to you. And then what would you be needing to do? It sounded like there was some kind of
Oh,
process
yeah,
that
we
had
had
to
to
be
go
done.
through the whole legal process with the courts. The person needing guardianship had every right to present his or her case to the court if the person wanted to. One of our guardianship people went to court and said she did not want to have a guardian. She didn't need a guardian. But then she talked about strange things coming out of the vents of Tom Thumb and, things that showed her illness and how much she really needed to have a guardian. And so the courts had to determine whether the person could become a client of Jewish Family Service.
So would you be attending that session when that person was being interviewed?
Well, this would be at court, yes.
So,
But
and
then
then,
once we had people that we were guardian of,
uh-huh.
it was really the social workers in the gerontology department of Jewish Family Service who handled the case. And I was so impressed with the gerontologists. We're talking about Bunny, of course, and Debbie Weiner and Sue. I'm blank right now on her last name. Do you remember, Janine?
Well, you're talking about our volunteers. I don't
No,
remember
I'm talking about the professional social
who.
workers.
No, I know the reason why Joni's asking me is we got to share an office together because I was also working part-time in the gerontology um,
And
for some
Deborah
of that time.
Liebensberger, she worked on the cases
Yeah.
and
See, this
given
was
these
after me, actually.
huh?
These people you're naming me were after Sue, and yeah, I didn't know them.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It was
Um,
after.
and like I had told you, I'm not at home now and I haven't been on that job for almost
Uh,
20 years now. So
yeah.
a lot of this is from my memories.
Well, I remember it was such a special program because as I was doing part-time with gerontology, that we would be going into seniors that didn't have anyone, and the
Right.
living conditions a lot of times that they had were not good. And as you were saying, emotionally and mentally, that it was questionable that they should be living alone, and
Hmm.
who what family members did they have to help them out? So it
Right.
was such a wonderful, special thing to do. And I do recall it seemed like you had to go through so much paperwork and
Yeah.
legal work and things um, to get these going. Also, they, as you had mentioned, weren't always willing to want to have a guardian,
Right.
and
And
that
I
this is
just
a
thought of
very
Sue's last name. It was Sue Reed.
Sue Reed. Okay.
Yeah, and let me add, every dime we spent on the person, every bill we paid, was monitored by the court. We had to keep very close records. Um, and I think Jewish Family Service had hoped originally that this program would be a real moneymaker because the guardian gets a percentage of the money that comes in and comes out of the estate. But our clients really had no money. So it was a program where we helped the neediest and did a fantastic job. The social workers at JFS could be called in the middle of the night to meet the client at the hospital, because they were in charge. They were the guardian, and it was incredible. But it did not end up being a moneymaker.
So from when it started, were you with the program the whole time and then it ended?
When I left in 2004, there were still some clients left, And I think Debbie Weiner was very closely involved, but I don't know what ultimately happened.
Mm.
And another thing we did, and we started it at the same time, and it was also very important, was that I helped Jewish Family Service start a money management program. And it was, they were called the PROs, Personal Resource Organizers. Do you remember that, Janine? Or
No, I don't know if that might, well, I was already gone by then. I
okay, well
think 'cause
that
I left.
it,
I
it
left.
started about the same time as guardianship.
Oh, okay.
And our idea was that we could train volunteers to go into people's homes and help them balance their checkbooks,
I do remember.
do
Okay.
paperwork,
Yes.
help file, help set up a filing system. And that was, I don't know what's happened to that program now, because I've been gone a long time. But I've worked with a lot of volunteers, and we had some of the best volunteers I've ever worked with. And I know I'll forget a lot, but I have to mention Milton Loeb and Sel Heller and Saul Lurie and Liz Denenberg. They were just amazing volunteers who really built up relationships with their clients. And if the clients had children, for instance, who lived in town, they didn't have to spend their time doing their checkbook balancing. They could do fun things with their child, and our volunteers would come in and really help them get organized. And
Yeah.
it
That's
was,
a wonderful program because it gave them independence. Uh,
yes, yes. So I don't know what's happening with
mhm.
that now, but
Well,
it was fantastic, the
yeah,
program.
and I think JFS has they constantly have changed as we just see their growth of
Hmm.
what they've done with the times. And um I yeah, I don't know what happened with that program either, or if it started into maybe into one of the other folded into one of the other programs that they had. I just know this was a very special um project that you got to be involved in. I remember
Hmm.
when we were sitting there sharing offices together, and now that I'm recalling these volunteers of people coming in, this is coming back to me too,
Hmm.
um, of how special this was. And a very exciting part, I feel like, of the agency to do something like this, to branch out, that there was a need.
Hmm.
And it was terrific. Carmen Michaels, I know, was so involved with getting the high um, homes together, that she also saw a need for this too, and really pushed to get this going, and that JFS was able to partner and to be involved with this, and within CJW to be involved with.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
One of the, we also had volunteers for the guardianship clients. And I have to mention Barbara Cusin, who was an amazing volunteer. And I know there were others, but Barbara was a very special volunteer, the way she bonded with a very, very difficult woman. And they ended up singing together, having a good time. So a lot of good people were involved with JFS as volunteers, and I know still are. Uh,
And I think, and most of the programs I think we've had at JFS, we didn't have these volunteers. They couldn't, these things could not be done. And so,
exactly.
and yeah, that's why I'm so glad you mentioned their names too, because it's, it's good that they're
Unfortunately,
recognized.
all of them I've mentioned have passed away.
Yeah.
It was they were volunteers who were young retired people, and
Uh-huh.
they were looking for meaningful
Hmm.
things to do after they retired from their professional work, and
Hmm.
so that was
Well,
fantastic.
um, in closing, I feel like if there's anything else that you'd like to mention, I know all of us that got to work at Jewish Family Service, there's something there that is very special. They give us an opportunity to give something back to the Jewish community, and it's wonderful that as busy as I know, you were so active in so many things that you that you made a decision to come and do this at that time too in your life also. Is
Mhm.
there anything else that you want to share um, of how you felt about working there, or people that you were with, or
I just found the group, the staff and mainly I was with the gerontology department, were the most caring people, and it was more than a job to them. Uh, it was a real calling, and we were always looking of how to make people's lives better, especially people who had very few privileges.
well, Joni, thank you so much for
You're
taking the time to
welcome.
share your time at Jewish Family Service and the great contribution you made too with this program. Thank you very much.
Thank
And it
you,
was great to
Jeanette.
see you.
Great to see you too.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.